All right, so I listened to this guy. His name is Dr. Honda. He has this podcast called The Psychology in Psychology in Seattle, and most things that he talks about, I completely agree with. This one thing I do not agree with. Okay, and the thing that I do not agree with, okay, is that it is necessary to cry. Right now, that sounds brutal, right? I'm gonna give you a true story. True story, right? So I'm listening to this Kanye West song. I think it's called New York, uh, City of Gods or something like that, right? And so I'm listening to the song and I was like, oh my God, bro, Kanye has done it again. And I get so emotional because I cried like a baby when when I saw Tiger Woods documentary. I cried like a fucking child. Like for the whole first episode, I cried like a child. Okay. So I thought that, hey, you know, what I'm feel, what I feel, and I can only speak for my own feelings. I can't speak for anybody else. I can speak for my own feelings. It seems like there's a movement slightly in the psychology world, if you will, that almost shames you if you are unable to cry, right? So me personally, I don't have anything against crying. I'm not, anti-crying. I don't care. Look, honestly, like I'll go up against the entire world, okay, and do the exact opposite of what everybody wants me to do. You think I actually care if you see tears coming from my face? You think I actually care about your opinion? I'm going to cry. And when I'm done, I'm going to stop crying. But when I cry all day, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Okay? But for the most part, I don't care that much. Don't really care that much about crying and not crying. That's not the issue. The issue is that it seems like society, or at least the societies that I belong to, which is sort of liberal psychology realm or what have you, the attitude is, it's almost like, seems like tilting towards you're unhealthy if you can't cry, right? So you have to understand my emotional state because I've tried to cry. Like I was listening to the Kanye West song yesterday, right? On the borderline of tears. I even tried to push out a couple tears. I was alone. Okay? I want to fit in with the rest of the liberal guys. Okay? It hurts that I do not fit in with the liberal people that cry all the time and feel so sensitive. I want to feel sensitive. I want to cry. Okay? But you have to understand that me listening to this guy, this Dr. Honda guy, sometimes he contradicts himself. Okay? So, for example, one contradiction that he has is that I think it's something along the lines of, I think it's a type of personality called the avoidant attachment type, right? So basically, they asked for attention, asked for attention, asked for attention. They never got attention. Okay? So imagine this, right? There's two kids, right? Kid one cries. His mom comes into the kitchen, says, "What do you want?" Kid says, I want a cup from the cabinet. Cries, "What do you want?" "I want a cup from the cabinet." The mom goes, gives the kid the cup from the cabinet, gives him something to drink, whatever. Right? Now, kid B cries, cries, cries. Nobody comes for him. Cries, cries, cries. Nobody comes for him. Right? So eventually he's like, you know what? I can't just sit here and cry. Okay? So instead of, you know, depending on these people over here, I'm going to get it myself. So he climbs up on the counter and he gets the cup, right? The reason that the kid was crying, okay, is because he wanted the cup, okay? Kid A cries because he wants the cup. Kid B knows that nobody's going to come if he cries. So he gets the cup himself. It's just like if somebody's borderline, right? Somehow, subconsciously, they get the idea that being super extreme is going to get them the love, the attention, the admiration, the things that they need as a human being, right? So they might turn up or amplify those intense emotions, which means crying, yelling, cursing, swearing, okay, causing a fuss, perhaps, interpreting something as being more of a robust situation than it actually is. Okay? That's really all I'm saying, is that it's a continuum. It's just like the borderline over there is at the extreme end of the continuum, okay? And the stoic guy over here who just doesn't have any emotion at all and da-da-da-da-da is on the extreme other end as well, okay? And just like the borderline person feels super comfortable crying, right? And all this other types of stuff, someone else might be like, yo, let me just get a stool, step on the stool, get the cup. There's nothing to cry about, right? You see what I'm saying? So that's the point that I'm making. The point that I'm making is that the emphasis should not be on the amount of tears that comes from one's face, as proof of how in tune they are with themselves and all this other types of stuff. Or, oh, you know what, this guy hasn't cried in 5 years. Okay, that he's a bad guy. Or how about this, right? Dr. Kirk talks about it all the time. He was 20 years old. He said he was 25 years old till the next time he cried like a baby or something like that. But before then, he was in 6th grade or something like that. And he went from 6th grade to 25 years old, never cried, right? But I got to ask you, was that really the worst thing? Because the fact is, it has nothing to do with the tears. Okay, it has to do with how one processes their core emotions, right? If his core emotions is sadness and fear, so he's feeling the sadness, right? He embraces the sadness. Okay, yeah, I've been in sad situations before. This is a 1 on a 10 scale of things that I've seen and experienced as far as sadness. Okay? I'm not panicking. I'm taking deep breaths. I'm cool. Okay? And yes, it hurts. Okay? And yes, I'm going to mourn the loss of the situation. Okay? But does it mean that I have to cry hysterically in order to prove that I have these feelings or something like that? I would hope not. I'm saying that we're using crying as some type of gauge to, prove how, in touch with our feelings we are, or how much we lack connection with our emotions. Okay? right? So one thing that people tend to do, right? You basically have two options, okay? You could either flip out and get angry, or you could cry. You flip out and get angry, or you could cry. What are you going to do? Right? Okay, I tried to squeeze out some tears. That didn't work. Okay, now let me get some energy off in a quick way. I don't know, throw a basketball at the fucking hoop or whatever. Okay, accept the loss and keep going, because at the end of the day, me sulking is not going to accomplish anything. It feels good, but so does heroin. Okay? Me sulking isn't going to achieve anything. Me sitting around eating Cheetos, okay, all day, not accomplishing anything, concerned with my sadness, okay, is not going to get me the cup out of the cabinet. You see what I'm saying? Some people have given up on the cup in the cabinet, right? They say, I don't want it anymore. It doesn't matter to me. It's just a cup in the cabinet, blah, blah, blah. Me, I'm like, okay, my goal in life and my goal with this podcast, my goal with my media and all the things that I do is to make you as self-reliant as possible, because at the end of the day, right, how am I going to be the breadwinner for a family, okay, and have my wife trust me, okay, if every 2 seconds I'm breaking down crying, right, and she's got to be my mother, okay? My wife is already going to be a mother. My girlfriend is already going to be a mother, right? So what do I mean by that? Like, she's got kids. She's going to have kids. She's got that. She only has 2 kids. She doesn't need a third, right? I am literally my purpose. One of my huge purposes in life, in this world, is to be a pillar for my family. People talk about, masculinity, right? And so there's negative traits in masculinity, right? So there's like, chauvinism, like, she can't do it. She's a woman. Who does she think she is? Put that woman back in her place, right? There's that. But then there's also the positive trait of masculinity is, hey, I'm going to be a pillar for my community. I'm going to be a pillar for my household. I'm going to be a pillar for my family. I'm going to be dependable. Okay? I'm going to make sure that the well never runs dry. Okay? That my family has abundance. Okay? And that comes with sacrifice. And yes, there's blood, sweat, and tears that comes along with it. So back to my post. Okay? People don't care that if men cry or not. Crying is a metaphor. It's a bad metaphor. It's a metaphor like calling somebody the P word. It's a derogatory slang that should not be used in that way. True. But it is what it is, and that is what it is for most people. Because how can people on one hand say blood, sweat, and tears is okay, but crying is not? It's because it's a different energy when you say crying than when you say blood, sweat, and tears. I'm not saying it exactly right, but let me elaborate a little bit. Okay? I say blood, sweat, and tears. It means I put my all into it. I've broken down, I've cried like any other human being would if they were in my shoes. And that's okay, right? So what we have is an idea that does not shame tears and crying or this and that. Okay, most Americans, most red-blooded alpha male types or whatever, can completely agree with blood, sweat, and tears. So it's not like our society is anti-tears. Okay, it's not like the actual formation of the water pouring down one's face is the problem. The problem is, what's the word for it? Moaning, groaning, sulking. That's the word. The problem is sulking. Okay? When they say crying, you could just replace that word with sulking. They don't mean crying literally. They mean sulking. Just like when somebody says the P word. Oh, he's a P word. They don't mean that he, is literally vagina, this and that. He means that he flip-flops. He says one thing and does another. Right? Now it's derogatory and he shouldn't say that. But that's what he means. He doesn't mean that he's pink and, got floppy ears. You see what I'm saying? So, I think that we need to stop trying to drill for oil where there's no oil. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you cry, you cry. If you don't, you don't. You discover oil, you discover oil. You don't, you don't. But the greater thing is to be able to have the ability to express your emotions. Express what makes you sad. Express what hurts you. Okay? Express and be vulnerable. That's the more important thing. Forget about the tears. It's about the vulnerability. You see what I'm saying? Or crying or whatever. It's more about the vulnerability. Okay? So, anyway, this is Daddy of Erotica Magazine, Erotica Magazine Online. And until next time, ciao.